Welcome to Rise and Shine Daily Business Tech Boost with me, Charly Leetham. If you're a small business owner looking to simplify technology and get real, actionable advice from someone with 35 years of IT experience, you're in the right place. Every episode, I'll dive into tools and systems like email, CRM, marketing and tracking, and break them down into bite-sized tips you can use right away. Your time is valuable, so let's get straight to the point. It's time to work smarter, not harder. Rise and shine. It's your daily dose of business tech inspiration with me, Charly Leetham. Episode number 520 today. And something more anecdotal today. Something that has struck me as I've been going through a website development with someone. I've picked up a job to finish a website. It was created by someone else. They handed it over and said it was finished, and then when we got into it, there was a number of functions, quite a bit of functionality that just didn't exist. They said it did. We went in to look at it, and the code just didn't exist. So we've been going through cleaning it up and going through it. Now, one of the things that I do when I create a website is go sit down with the client and say, how do you want this to work for your end user? What is the experience, the journey you want your clients to take when they're using the website? I looked at what was created and I went through it, and I sat down with the owner of the site and said, this doesn't seem right to me. This doesn't feel right. This seems clunky. This doesn't seem to meet the needs of the user. Now, it wasn't exactly aimed at me. I tried to put myself in the shoes of the people that would be using the site. It's always difficult when you do that because you're really not certain whether you've got the right perspective or not, because you filter most things through a lens, right? You look at life through your lens, and trying to change that lens to someone else's can be really tricky. And we agreed that we'd change a few things. And I've made some changes and we've been working through it, and we got to the point the other day and said, okay, I think we're ready to have someone look at this and give us some feedback. So they went out and they sat down with someone and said, let's go through this. Let one of their target audience. And they arranged an appointment with them. They sat down with them and they said, we want you to run through this and we want you to tell us what you think. We got such a wealth of information out of it. A lot of my gut feelings was correct. A lot of the things that we had put to the side and said we need to address this, if we can address this if needed. We really need to get some feedback from the users, see what putting it out there in the wild gives us. And they came back and they said, this isn't right. This doesn't feel right for us. This needs to be like this. This needs to be like this. Even down to, and I'm kind of smiling because I'm as blind as a bat. I wear glasses for a good reason, and I often look at my screen. I go, I can't read that font. Now, it's not necessarily that the font is just too small. It's that the font is small and it's not a good contrast against the background. So I'm sitting there squinting at it, and I've actually got to zoom right in and make my screen bigger so that I can see the text and read the text. And they came back and said, yeah, they had the same issue. And I thought, oh, good, so it's not just me, it's not just my eyesight. So the idea of this podcast today is to talk about, don't just assume you know what your target audience wants. Don't just assume you know the journey that your target audience will take through your website. You need to understand your target audience, but you also then need to sit down when you get a working prototype and get people to use it and get the feedback from that site and be prepared to change it. Now, sometimes that's not possible, right? Sometimes it's not possible to do what we did this last week, where we went out and we sat down with someone and said, can you tell us what you think of this? And actually get their feedback and see their reactions firsthand. Like, that was amazing, being able to sit down with them and see their reactions and see the looks on their faces and the stress or the relief as they found things and all of that. That's worth $1 million, but you can't always do that. So what do? My recommendation to everyone is that we get a minimum viable product, an MVP, not a most valuable player, a minimum viable product. What is it that is going to let us get to market and start testing the market? What is it that's going to let us deliver what we want to deliver, not cost us an arm and a leg to do it, and get it out there so we can test it? We want a minimum viable product. What that does is that lets you test. It lets you put in some investment. It brings it to a point where you're not going to alienate people because it is so terrible and it is so bad. But it also is going to let you have a bit of breathing room, that when you start to test things and things, you look at something and say, that's not working the way I thought it would. You've still got room to move. You've got room to be able to modify it, and you haven't just spent hand over fist dollars, just throwing dollars at it to get something that doesn't work, that isn't going to do what your clients want it to do or your visitors want it to do, that doesn't meet the requirements of your target audience, and just spent all your money. So when you're sitting down and doing your products, and this is where I'm coming to, when you're sitting down and doing your projects for your websites and your applications and all your little mobile apps, don't try to build the Taj Mahal. Build that little shack on the edge of a path that is heated, has a nice bed, is cooled if it's in a hot area, has bedrooms, has a kitchen. Build something that is functional, that looks good, that meets the requirements, but only barely meets the requirements, and then aim to build the Taj Mahal once you start to get the feedback of the people using the product or the service you've created. That's the best piece of advice I can give anyone, and I give that to anyone who comes to me and asks me to do work for them. Yes, I can do it. Yes, we can give you an all singing, all dancing proposal. What I would prefer to do is do this in phases. We get a minimal viable product out there, we test it, we then come back and do phase 2 and phase 3 and phase 4, and we keep improving it until you get something that is 80 or 90% of what the client wants, of what your users want, what your target audience wants. Why not 100%? Because it's rare that we'll ever meet 100%. There's always going to be the outlier out there who doesn't meet, that doesn't sit in those nice little rails. They're always going to be outside. So you're never ever going to get 100%. Alrighty, what do you guys think? Have you done big projects and have you had trouble with it? Have you done smaller projects and has they worked well? Have you done projects that are too small and they failed because they've not been the minimum viable product? They've been the minimum product which hasn't been viable. I would love to know your thoughts, your comments. Wherever you are watching or listening to this video, leave them in the comments below. You can also come across to my locals community, askcharlyleetham.locals.com, and join the conversation there. And if this video has been useful to you, please give it a like. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so by subscribing and ring the notification bell so you find out when I drop my next piece of content. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Bye. Hey there, thanks so much for tuning in to Rise and Shine, your daily business tech boost. I hope today's episode gave you some actionable insights that will make your business tech work smarter for you. If you found value, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other small business owners who could use a daily boost. For more tips, tools, and resources, visit www.askcharlyleetham.com. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and let's make tech simple together.